15 years after the death of Paul Newman, there's a lot the world never knew about the legendary and complicated actor. Known for his versatility on screen, Newman's off-screen persona was equally intriguing. Despite his legendary fame, those who knew him best often describe him as remarkably down-to-earth. People would often say, "The man behind the blue eyes could really surprise you." But what were Newman's true aspirations in life? And what kind of father was he? Delving into Newman's new memoir offers us a glimpse into the soul of this megastar. Let's embark on this journey to uncover the truths about Paul Newman that have remained hidden for so long. In 1986, Paul Newman, the esteemed Jewish Hollywood figure, made a significant decision. It was time to unveil the truth about himself. Tired of the falsehoods perpetuated by tabloids and determined to confront the inner struggles that had haunted him since childhood, Newman embarked on the journey of penning his memoir. By then, in his 60s, the actor, philanthropist, race car driver, and political activist felt prepared to lay bare his soul on paper. Over the course of 5 years, Newman collaborated closely with his good friend and writer, Stuart Stern, to craft his memoir. Countless hours were spent in taped interviews, not only with Stern but also with a multitude of friends, colleagues, and family members. However, inexplicably, Newman abruptly abandoned the project, leaving it unfinished. Sadly, Stuart Stern passed away in 2015, leaving behind unanswered questions about the memoir's fate. The tapes containing the recorded interviews have since vanished without a trace, leaving speculation about their fate. Some speculate they may have been destroyed, while others wonder if they are tucked away in some forgotten corner, waiting to be discovered. Recently, however, thousands of pages of transcripts from these interviews resurfaced in unexpected places. The basement of Newman's Connecticut home, shared with his wife of 50 years, Joanne Woodward, and in a family storage unit. Newman's daughters recognized the importance of sharing their father's perception of himself and his life, alongside others' perspectives, with the world. This led to the creation of the insightful memoir titled The Extraordinary Life of an Ordinary Man, which was edited by David Rosenthal and released in October, 14 years after Newman's passing from cancer at the age of 83. In a recent interview with the Times of Israel, conducted from his home in Brooklyn, Rosenthal shed light on the process behind the memoir's creation. Newman's daughters, including Melissa Newman, who penned the book's foreword, and Clea Newman Soderlund, who contributed the afterword, grappled with the delicate balance between portraying their globally renowned father in a positive light and acknowledging the transcript's revelations of Newman's flaws, perpetual self-doubt, and guilt. Rosenthal highlighted Newman's self-deprecating nature and noted that his daughters acknowledged his complexities. Despite Newman's deep love for his daughters, he remained reserved about certain aspects of his life, contributing to his role as an absent father. Rosenthal pointed out the complexity Newman faced due to his prior marriage to Jackie Witt from 1949 to 1958 before meeting Joanne Woodward. The memoir serves as a platform for Newman to candidly address aspects of his life that he had previously kept private, including the challenges stemming from the breakup of his first marriage and the tragic loss of his son, Scott, to a drug and alcohol overdose in 1978. Rosenthal emphasized the cathartic nature of Newman's revelations, providing insight into his innermost thoughts and emotions that had remained undisclosed in profile articles throughout the years. Champion beer chugga lugger, born into a family of modest means in Shaker Heights, Ohio, Paul Newman initially saw acting as an escape from the prospect of joining his family's sporting goods business. Despite being unremarkable in most regards, Newman's time at college saw him achieve the notable feat of setting his college's beer chugga-lugging record. His military service during World War II, largely spent in the Pacific, was marked by a lifestyle of drinking, pranks, and gambling, as he was spared from direct combat. Following his graduation from Kenyon College and the commencement of a directing degree at Yale University's School of Drama, Newman gained admission to the prestigious Actors Studio in New York. This institution, renowned for producing some of the mid-20th century's greatest actors, including Marlon Brando and James Dean, left Newman feeling insecure about his own abilities. He questioned how he had managed to pass the audition, attributing his success primarily to his striking good looks. Newman's early and mid-career years, as depicted in the memoir, are characterized by his persistent insecurity and disbelief in his own talent. Despite achieving stardom with iconic films like Cat on a Hot Tin Roof, The Hustler, and Cool Hand Luke, he remained convinced that his success was primarily due to luck and tenacity rather than innate ability. His relentless work ethic and determination to excel compensated for what he perceived as a lack of natural talent, a perception that differed greatly from how others viewed him. Something rotten in the state of Ohio. In The Extraordinary Life of an Ordinary Man, Paul Newman's reflections on his years in theater and film, along with insights from co-stars and directors like John Huston and Elia Kazan, offer captivating glimpses into his career. However, it's Newman's candid revelations about his upbringing and family life that truly resonate and form the heart of the memoir, shedding light on the complexities of his childhood and adolescence. From the early pages of the memoir, it becomes apparent that Newman's childhood was marked by turmoil. He recounts moments of distress, such as banging his head against the dining room wall in fits of rage, describing it as their own wailing wall. These actions, born out of frustration and anger, reflect the challenges he faced growing up. Newman's family dynamic was shaped by the union of his parents, Arthur Newman and Teresa Fetsko, a Jewish Catholic turned Christian Scientist immigrant from Slovakia. Their relationship was complicated, with Teresa having escaped an abusive first marriage before meeting Arthur. When Paul's older brother, Arthur Jr., was born, the couple was unmarried, and Arthur only agreed to marry Teresa under familial pressure to uphold societal expectations. While Paul Newman's success as a businessman and provider was evident, his family life was marked by challenges that significantly influenced his sense of self-worth. Newman's father, although successful in his business endeavors, was emotionally distant and struggled with excessive drinking, creating a strained relationship with his son. Newman's mother, on the other hand, seemed oblivious to the emotional needs of her children, a dynamic that left a lasting impact on Newman's perception of himself. In the memoir, Newman draws a poignant analogy between himself and his mother's little dogs, describing them as becoming cancerous and so obese they could hardly move. This metaphor encapsulates his feeling of being overwhelmed and suffocated by his mother's affection, which, in his view, had little to do with its intended object and more to do with her own needs. David Rosenthal, the editor of The Extraordinary Life of an Ordinary Man, notes that Newman's expressions of low self-worth in the transcripts are understandable given the challenging dynamics within his family. The lack of affirmation and emotional support from his parents seemingly contributed to Newman's struggles with self-esteem. Newman's father passed away in his 50s, while his mother lived longer. However, Newman chose to sever ties with his mother for about 15 years to protect himself from the toxicity of their relationship. Even upon their reunion, discussions about their rift were avoided, and Newman's mother never offered an apology, leaving unresolved tensions between them. Despite her terminal illness, the issues were left unaddressed. What did Paul Newman apologize for? Indeed, Paul Newman's legacy extends beyond the silver screen to the realm of sports. Growing up, Newman was immersed in a family environment that valued both the arts and athletics. While his mother indulged in theatrical productions, his father owned a sporting goods store. Newman's early exposure to sports at his father's shop ignited his passion for athletics. Despite harboring dreams of becoming a pilot in the U.S. Navy, Newman's color blindness thwarted his aviation aspirations, leading him to serve as a radio operator instead. Newman's journey to stardom took an unexpected turn during his college years. Initially set to pursue a football scholarship, his expulsion from the team due to a skirmish altered his trajectory. However, this setback served as a catalyst for Newman's foray into the world of theater. Immersing himself in stock theater at Yale during a summer hiatus, Newman discovered his love for acting, marking the beginning of his illustrious career. Despite his eventual success, Newman was his own toughest critic. His debut film, The Silver Chalice in 1954, garnered mixed reviews, with Newman himself expressing disdain for both the movie and his performance. Despite receiving a Golden Globe nomination for his role, Newman's dissatisfaction with the film reached a point where he publicly discouraged audiences from watching it, a testament to his uncompromising self-evaluation. Throughout his life, Newman's penchant for self-criticism persisted, even as accolades and admiration poured in from all sides. This intrinsic trait underscores his relentless pursuit of excellence and his unwavering commitment to personal growth. Was Joanne Woodward with Paul Newman when he died? In the whirlwind world of Hollywood romances, true love stories are rare gems amidst a sea of turbulent breakups. One such extraordinary tale unfolded between Paul Newman and the legendary Joanne Woodward. Their fateful encounter took place on the set of the Broadway show Picnic, a serendipitous meeting that would alter the course of their lives forever. At the time, Newman was already married to his first wife, Jackie Witt, whom he had wed in 1949. However, upon meeting Woodward, sparks flew instantaneously, igniting a connection that transcended the boundaries of time and circumstance. Woodward vividly recalled their initial meeting as akin to witnessing an ice cream soda had come to life, mesmerized by Newman's undeniable charm and allure. Despite the complexities of their respective relationships, Newman and Woodward's bond only grew stronger with each passing day. Their on-screen chemistry seamlessly transitioned into a profound off-screen romance, solidifying their status as one of Hollywood's most iconic power couples. Together, they embarked on a prolific journey, starring in numerous films and leaving an indelible mark on the cinematic landscape. Yet, beyond their professional accomplishments, Newman and Woodward shared a love that was palpable to all who knew them. Their daughter, Melissa Newman, fondly reminisced about witnessing their unwavering devotion firsthand, even amidst the occasional tempestuous disagreement. Despite any challenges they faced, Newman and Woodward always found their way back to each other. Reflecting on her parents' enduring love, Melissa fondly recalls the subtle gestures of affection that defined Paul Newman and Joanne Woodward's relationship. Whether it was the gentle touch exchanged every time they walked by or the shared moments spent looking at old photos, their connection was palpable. Melissa keenly observes the transformative effect Joanne had on her father, noting a noticeable difference in him before and after their union in 1958. Acknowledging that family life isn't always a picture-perfect scenario, Melissa candidly describes occasional tensions that would ebb and flow in their household. Despite any challenges, Joanne assumed the role of the firm and rule-setting figure, earning credit from Paul Newman himself for his status as a charismatic sex symbol. Melissa, however, saw beyond the surface, witnessing two individuals deeply in love. For Melissa, the essence of their bond was encapsulated in Joanne's unwavering support. She humorously envisions her dad stranded on a deserted island, choosing Joanne as the one thing he couldn't do without. Even in the face of Paul's declining health in his final years, Joanne remained a constant presence, standing by his side until death did they part. How many children did Paul Newman have? Newman's family expanded significantly over the years, comprising a total of 6 children. From his first marriage, he had 3 children, Scott, Susan, and Stephanie. while he had 3 more with Joanne, Nell, Melissa, and Clea. Joanne took on a hands-on role as a mother, opting for natural childbirth and personally nursing her children, practices uncommon for the time. Despite Newman's self-criticism as a parent, he diligently documented their family journey. Melissa reminisces about her childhood surrounded by photographs capturing their famous family's moments. Inspired by these memories, she embarked on a project to compile these images into a photo album titled Head Over Heels. Among her cherished photos is one featuring her sister pointing to a glamorous image of their mother, symbolizing the dualities of their family life. What did Paul Newman say to his son? Paul expressed disappointment in his son Scott for abandoning his pledge class and taking another member with him. This incident highlighted a strained relationship between them. Scott followed in his father's footsteps and pursued acting, featuring in movies such as The Towering Inferno, Breakheart Pass, and Fraternity Row. Their relationship was complicated by Paul's career demands and the upheaval caused by his divorce from Scott's mother. While Paul's Hollywood success seemed like a fairy tale, the reality for Scott was more challenging. The divorce and Paul's relocation to California during Scott's formative years added further strain to their relationship. Scott faced numerous challenges growing up, including being repeatedly expelled from private schools while living in Connecticut. Despite his struggles, he pursued acting and stunt work, eventually appearing in his father's films. However, Scott was determined not to rely on his father's fame and avoided asking Paul for financial support. Instead, he took on menial jobs to make ends meet, feeling the weight of living in his father's considerable shadow and the constant accusation of nepotism. Even as Scott tried to establish himself independently, he battled personal demons, including alcoholism and occasional run-ins with the law. Paul Newman was acutely aware of the impact his actions had on his son and the pain he endured. In 1978, tragedy struck when Scott was involved in a severe motorcycle accident, leading him to rely on painkillers. Despite Paul's financial assistance for psychiatric help, Scott succumbed to a fatal overdose of Valium, alcohol, and other drugs at the young age of 28. Paul Newman was devastated by his son's death, expressing profound guilt that would haunt him for the rest of his life. This pivotal moment reshaped Newman's priorities, shifting his focus from his career to using his resources and influence to support others. Paul Newman's closest friends. You can't really consider yourself marginalized when you're in the acting profession. Paul Newman was a complex individual full of contradictions. Despite his fame, he didn't hold himself in high regard. He often felt like an outsider, describing himself as a freak and feeling disconnected from his own emotions. Newman saw himself primarily as a cerebral actor, relying on calculation rather than emotional connection in his performances. This disconnect from his emotions may have led him to engage in outrageous stunts and practical jokes as a form of overcompensation for his perceived shortcomings. Newman had a dark sense of humor and enjoyed playing pranks on others, including the director of Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. He once went so far as to cut the director's car and desk in half, and even staged an elaborate accident involving a beat-up car. Newman's penchant for mischief didn't stop there. He took his practical jokes to new heights by tossing a prop dummy off the side of a building to make his director think he had jumped. He was known to dabble in various activities and pursuits, showcasing his adventurous spirit in an era before specialization became the norm. It was quite common for actors to venture into entrepreneurship and start their own brands. Paul Newman, known for his ambitious nature, decided to venture into the realm of salad dressing. His concoction, a blend of oil and vinegar, became his signature, readily distributed to anyone who visited him. Surprisingly, he found support and guidance in the competitive world of salad dressing from none other than Martha Stewart. At the time, Stewart was a caterer residing in the same neighborhood as Newman. She conducted a blind taste test that declared Newman's dressing the undisputed champion among condiments. Thus, Newman's Own was born. Living in close proximity allowed a few fortunate individuals to catch glimpses of the man behind those famous blue eyes. One such person was A.E. Hotchner, an editor, playwright, and biographer. While their professional paths crossed occasionally, it was their neighborly interactions that cemented their bond. Despite their differing professions, they found camaraderie in the everyday aspects of life. Hotchner's friendship with Newman shed light on Newman's deep-seated passion for boats, particularly old, weathered ones steeped in history. Despite their mutual acknowledgement of being inept at fishing, they often embarked on fishing trips together. Their bond endured for 5 decades, during which they collaborated on numerous meaningful projects fueled by their creative minds. One such project was the Hole-in-the-Wall Gang Camp, an initiative aimed at providing a free camping experience for children battling cancer and other life-threatening illnesses. Initially a local endeavor, it grew into a global phenomenon, a legacy that Newman's daughter, C.A., continued after his passing. However, perhaps the most poignant undertaking was born out of tragedy. Newman's profound guilt over his son Scott's premature death never waned. This guilt spurred him to establish the Scott Newman Center for Drug Abuse Prevention, a deeply personal endeavor rooted in familial loss. A Jew, loud and proud. The book makes no reference to Newman's involvement in religious education or the observance of Jewish holidays and milestones with his paternal extended family. Despite this, David Rosenthal, the editor, mentioned that he searched extensively for any record of Newman having undergone a bar mitzvah ceremony, but found none. Although Newman's upbringing appears secular, his father maintained a connection to their Jewish identity by reading the daily Cleveland Jewish newspaper. Additionally, Newman's parents were active members of the local Jewish country club, and they reserved synagogue seats for their entire lives to ensure burial in the Jewish cemetery. However, Newman himself rarely discussed his Jewish heritage except in the context of encountering anti-Semitism. According to Rosenthal, Newman did identify as Jewish, albeit in a complex way. He seemed drawn to the idea of being an outsider or rebel, viewing Jewishness as a badge of honor in the face of adversity. Whether facing exclusion from high school fraternities or confronting slurs during his military service, Newman embraced his Jewish identity as a source of strength and resilience, embodying his desire to be seen as a hero. As Newman's career gained momentum, Jewish producer Sam Spiegel and others suggested that he change his name to something more in line with mainstream American culture, as many Jewish actors had done. I could have easily concealed my Jewish heritage, erased the part of my identity that had caused me so much discomfort. But I saw it as more of a challenge to embrace my real name, to proudly wear it as a badge, Newman reflected. Newman's philanthropic endeavors extended further with the creation of the Serious Fun Children's Network. This network aims to provide children facing chronic or life-threatening illnesses with a transformative and joyful camp experience, free of charge. One such camp within the network is the Jordan River Village Camp, located in northern Israel. Newman reflected on navigating life with what he described as his own type of evolving emotional anesthesia. It appears that in the 17 years between abandoning the memoir project and his passing, this anesthesia was gradually wearing off. According to family accounts, he hadn't completely resolved all of his shortcomings, but it seems he spent those years trying to make amends for the mistakes he had made. The camps, his charitable endeavors, spending quality time with family, he devoted himself to these pursuits. While he never fully quit drinking, his alcohol consumption significantly decreased by the mid-90s, Rosenthal explained. Perhaps that's why he halted work on the book. Maybe the person he was becoming, or at least aspired to be, was different from the one he had been portraying, Rosenthal speculated. Paul Newman's cause of death. Newman was known for his fondness for cigarettes, maintaining a heavy smoking habit until he ultimately quit in 1986. However, despite his efforts to kick the habit, the toll on his health became evident when reports surfaced of him battling lung cancer. Despite initial ambiguity surrounding his condition, by 2008, Paul's mobility had significantly declined, culminating in his passing on September 26th at the age of 83. His publicists eventually confirmed the cause of his decline as cancer. Yet, even in his final days, Newman endeavored to maintain a positive outlook. Hotchner, who spent time with Newman shortly before his passing, recalled their light-hearted conversation. As Hotchner bid farewell, Newman reflected on their shared experiences, acknowledging, "Yeah, it's been a hell of a ride," encapsulating a sense of gratitude and acceptance in the face of life's challenges. Paul Newman, a legend in the eyes of many but perhaps not in his own, grappled with his own shortcomings, both real and perceived. Despite the glossy veneer of his fairy tale life and family, there lurked a darker past beneath the surface. Yet, amidst his personal struggles, Newman gave back abundantly to others, leaving an indelible mark on the world. So, to Paul Newman, we extend our heartfelt gratitude for the countless memories he bestowed upon us. Now, let's reminisce together. What was your favorite project featuring Paul Newman? Was it the iconic Butch Cassidy, the captivating The Sting, or perhaps the unforgettable Cool Hand Luke? Share your thoughts in the comments below. We'd love to hear from you. And don't hesitate to delve into some lesser-known gems from Newman's extensive filmography.